going on, you guys? It's John again. Welcome back. You could have clicked any video on the internet, but you chose to click this one. So in this video, guys, I'm going to talk about how nobody really goes to the movie theaters anymore. And to me, this is kind of something that's not awesome, you know what I mean? Because I've always been someone who loves movies. I've always been someone who enjoys making content, enjoys making short film stuff, and enjoys watching movies. You know, that's always been something that I've enjoyed ever since I was a young kid. And going to the movies was something that a lot of us did growing up, you know. It was always fun to, you know, look online to see what movies were playing at the moment that you were interested in. And, you know, you'd find one that you want to see. Maybe one of your favorite directors had just made something recently and it was something that was original and something that was cool and something that you wanted to see. And, you know, you'd go and you'd get a popcorn, you'd get a drink, you'd do all this kind of stuff, and you would sit in a dark theater and with a huge screen with amazing sound systems, and you would enjoy a cinematic experience in the theater, you know, that you couldn't get anywhere else. And it just seems like nowadays no one really does that anymore. You know, a lot of movie theaters around me have been closing down because of no business, you know, because no one's going to the movie theaters anymore. And I do understand it. I get why less people are going to the theaters. I understand that we've got Netflix and Hulu and HBO Max and all these different, streaming platforms that have all the content right there at our fingertips, and we can just enjoy it while we're sitting at home or whatever. Like, and all that's cool. You know, the convenience of that is cool and all. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think anything can ever replace the experience that you get in a real, true movie theater. I mean, you just don't get that same cinematic experience that you get in the theater. When you go into the theater, you're not really just there to watch a movie. I mean, you're there to watch a movie, but you're there for the experience of it. You know, you're there to watch something on a huge silver screen in an environment that's designed for that kind of experience. I mean, the sound system, the dark room, the being in an audience, the massive screen that's right in front of you, the auditorium feel. You know, there's a real projector that projects the image onto the screen. It has a classic kind of old school original feel to it. You know, it's the experience of buying a physical ticket and then showing up to the theater and having the person at the box office rip your ticket, telling you which theater to go to, going down a long hallway and looking at all the different theaters and auditoriums and figuring out which theater is your film playing in, you know, opening the door and walking down the long dark corridor, turning around to see the huge theater filled with seats, finding your seat, you know. All of these different things play into the experience of the theater. And when it comes to cinema, guys, sound is half the battle. When you go into a theater and you're immersing yourself in this experience, half of it is the sound design. Half of it is the, you know, Dolby sound system that's all the way around you, 360 degrees. You know, it's not just what you're seeing, but it's also what you're hearing. It's the combination of those things that really create the experience. And it's the deep bass, it's the high pitched sounds, you know, it's the combination of all these different sounds that your brain processes to really immerse you in that movie. And it was about being in an audience. You were a member of the audience. You weren't just sitting at home on your couch watching it. You were in a shared environment with lots of people who were all enjoying the experience together. You know, laughing together, crying together, oohing and aahing together. It was the shared environment. That's how a movie is meant to be watched, guys, in a cinematic theater experience like that. That's how films are supposed to be watched. And you don't really get that kind of experience by just sitting at home watching it on your TV or watching it on your phone or your iPad or anything like that. You don't get the film cinema experience that way, you know. And it's kind of a shame that the movie theaters are going away now, because there's nothing like that. There's nothing like an experience like that. But at the same time, I can kind of see that, a lot of movies today kind of suck. There's a lack of originality in Hollywood these days. It's just nothing but remakes and remakes and remakes, and they're just making superhero movies, which I've never been a huge superhero movie fan. Like I like some Marvel movies. I like some of the older ones. But nowadays, a lot of the superhero movies are kind of like shitty. They kind of try to appeal to a mass audience to try to milk the dollar as much as they can, to try to make as much money as they can, and it's like a family friendly experience. And the Hulk is like a weak like comedian now. You know what I mean? Like shit like that. So, I understand the point of view that yeah, movies kind of suck nowadays. There isn't really many movies that come out these days that are really worth going to a movie theater to see. And that's all true, but I'm hoping that's going to change in the future. I'm hoping that there's going to be some more original films that are made that make going to the movies worth it again. But and I'm sure that there are some movies that come out nowadays every once in a while that are really good, but they're few and far between, and they're hard to come by. And a lot of what comes out nowadays is kind of just, you know, mass audience appealing, milk the money from people crap. The way the world is headed now, the way that people consume media and consume film and consume TV and all this kind of stuff now has kind of made a world where the movie theater is kind of becoming irrelevant in many ways, which again, to me kind of sucks. And the thing about it too is a lot of people can't even watch a movie anymore. They don't have the attention span to be able to sit through and fully commit themselves and immerse themselves into a film completely anymore. I mean, a movie is about 1 to 2 to 3 hours long, roughly, within that range. And a lot of people today are so consumed in social media, they're so consumed in short form content consumption, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, all this different stuff, that it's very hard for a lot of people to sit through an entire movie. And I'm no exception to that. I myself even have a hard time sitting through a movie without checking my phone or something like that. And I don't even consume short form content. I don't consume reels. I don't consume Instagram reels. I don't even have TikTok installed on my phone. Like, I don't even consume short form media like that. And even I have a hard time sitting through a movie in its entirety a lot of times. I can do it if I really force myself to, I can, but it's still difficult. So I can't even imagine for all these people who are addicted to TikTok and all this short form content shit. I can't even imagine how, people like that can sit through a movie. I doubt they even can. So, I understand all these things, and I'm not saying any of these things are good. I don't think any of these things are good. I wish people could, watch a movie all the way through now. And maybe some of you can, but I know a lot of people definitely can't. But yeah, that's unfortunately, it's kind of just the landscape that we're in today. That's just kind of the world that we're in. Most people don't really watch a lot of movies anymore. A lot of people don't. Maybe some people do, but a lot of people don't. Most individuals, guys, today are just consuming social media. They're just consuming shit on their phone or YouTube or whatever. A lot of people don't value movies anymore. They don't value the rich storytelling experience that one can appreciate from a movie. A movie that's well made. They don't value that kind of thing anymore. The long form kind of cinema experience that you get with movies. A lot of people don't value that. They just want to consume social media all day, every day. And I get that's just the way it is. I'm not trying to sound like the boomer here. I'm a young person myself, but I just see the way that it's headed, and it's sad to see. It's sad to see, guys. It's sad to see that the movie theater as a concept is kind of going away these days. So, and I'm sure a lot of you probably feel the same way if you're a little bit older, if you're a Gen Z or older, or a millennial or Gen X or even a boomer, you know what I mean? If you're any of these generations, then you know how great the movie theaters were. You know how much of an experience they were. You know how good it felt to finish a movie in the theater and then walk out and enter the world again, and all you could think about was how awesome that movie was that you just watched. And it's not even that you just watched it, you experienced it. you experienced what the director and the filmmakers wanted you to experience, you know? That's how movies were always meant to be consumed is in a theater setting, in a cinematic auditorium with other people. You know, while you can just chill and eat popcorn and sometimes even eat food and drink a soda or whatever you wanted to do. I mean, it was just the movie theaters were the best way to consume content. Not just content, but filmmaking content, cinema. You know what I mean? That's what the movies were about is enjoying cinema. It was about the losing yourself and fully immersing yourself in the experience of it. And going to the movies was always something that, you know, you could do to bond with your family or bond with your friends or, you know, go on a date with a girl or whatever. I mean, like, going to the movies was something that was fun to do. It was something that you could bond with people around you through. You know, it was a way to connect with people too, like through a shared enjoyment of a film. And it's all these things together that made the theater specifically special. It was an experience. It wasn't just about watching a movie. It was an entire sensory experience that one could achieve through the theater. Anybody can watch a movie on their couch. Anybody can watch a movie on their phone. Anybody can watch a movie on their iPad. Anybody can throw a pair of headphones on. But those things never replace the visceral experience of the theater. And that's what made the theater great. That's what made having movie theaters around worth it. That's what made the theater experience the theater experience. That's what made people want to go to them. But people don't do that anymore. People don't go to the movie theaters anymore. I mean, and me included, you know. I think the last time I saw a movie in theaters was probably like 5 years ago. I think the last movie I saw in theaters was Tenet by Christopher Nolan, if you guys have seen that. Amazing movie, by the way. Really good. And that was an incredible experience to see in a theater, in the Dolby Theater, you know. But it's sad to see that that's not going to be around anymore, or it's very likely not going to be around anymore. I mean, there are some theaters that are opened. I don't know about you guys in your local area, but in my area, a lot of theaters are closing down. And if you go into some of these theaters, there's very, very few people in them, if not no people in them, you know. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of just a result of the ever-changing media landscape that we're in. People are consuming media in a different way now, and everything's at our fingertips. We can watch movies at the, you know, from the touch of a button from our TVs at home, and that's the convenience of it is cool and all, you know, and I'm all for that. I'm not against it by any means, but it's just it's sad to see that movie theaters are kind of becoming irrelevant and kind of slowly going away as time goes on. And it's kind of sucks, guys. It kind of sucks. I don't know if you guys watching are big movie people, but I've always been a huge movie person. I've always been someone who enjoys that kind of experience that you get. So yeah, guys, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Are the movie theaters in your area going away or closing down? Because they certainly are around me. And it sucks to see, guys. It really sucks to see. So yeah, that's the video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to drop a like and subscribe for more. And I'll see you guys in the next one.